thought it was a great week. I think the first thing that jumps out is just the level of compete and how much effort the players put in every single day. We put a lot in front of them in terms of the way we build practices and a lot of demand, both physically but mentally, to execute to the theme that we have, which is pace and possession. And so I think in the middle of July, that's a very tough thing to do, and I was impressed by that, as well as just how keen they were to learn. It was a really great group of kids that came in, and just the ability to just see everyone in different contexts. I think that's what this camp is all about.
What's next, do you think, for Matt and Frasier?
I think, for both of them coming into Toronto is a pretty overwhelming experience in your first development camp. We have to remember that with COVID, they didn't get especially with Matthew, we didn't get a draft in person, never had a chance to experience the media like there is here in Toronto. And I think all of those things in the first few days are very overwhelming. So for them to just come in and understand what the organization is about, they got to tour Scotiabank Arena. Now we're working on some very specific things with them heading out of this and into their seasons. And so it's sort of a long-term forecast for them to take away the things they've learned this week and just continue to build off of. This week doesn't make or break anything for anyone.
Did you learn anything about Matt watching him in person that maybe you didn't know before?
It's again, with COVID, it's been tough to see these kids a lot in person. So I think, what you take away with Matthew is just how much physically more developed he is than many of the other players here in this camp. His ability to shoot the puck, his release is quite good, and in the spots that he gets himself into, I think for us it's continuing to help him build into the elements of his game, being able to be a little bit more agile out there and continue to impose his will every time he steps on the ice physically, to be the physically dominant player that we think he can be. So nice kid off the ice, and brings a demeanor a little bit more fun and easygoing than you would think.
You mentioned that he's maybe trying a little too much in that first scrimmage. What did you see from him on the ice in this game?
Yeah, I think like anybody, he's pretty nervous in the first couple of days, and probably feels like as the highest pick here, he's got to impress and put on a show. But what we just talked to him about is every day get a little bit better, work with the skills coaches, take away things that you're going to use in a long-term forecast here to build into next season, and to realize that when he comes into Toronto, there are other players here that will take over the spotlight. He doesn't have to be the guy. So just to continue the little details in his game that we're looking for when he comes back to join us.
And Frasier, what's your takeaway on him, Frasier?
Great kid, very smooth on the ice. He's very young, and physically, obviously, his explosive power and strength is going to come with time. But you can see that he thinks the game really well. We're just trying to encourage him to play the game, not overthink situations, because he's so cerebral on the ice. But those are the skills that he has are very projectable into the way that I think he can become an NHL player.
You've got exit interviews coming up after us, obviously. But what's your day-to-day life like in this role? Is it a lot of phone calls? Is it a lot of personal one-on-ones with guys? What's your day-to-day like?
My day-to-day? So on any given day, in terms of prospects, we might be doing Zoom meetings with the players. We might be in person visiting them. There's a lot of texting back and forth, sharing clips through the season. We build out individual development plans for them. We connect them with nutrition, strength and conditioning. Really sort of the holistic development of the player is what we focus on for the prospects, and then the work with the Marlies, Growlers and the Leaf is a little bit more hands-on on the ice on a day-to-day basis, and really sort of helping them with anything in terms of their development off the ice.
What were your thoughts on the Jackson twins?
They're, the Henrik and Daniel is what I think about. They're a package deal, go together. I think, it's very obvious in this camp that when they're on the ice, they can move the puck. They know where each other are. They're shifty little players that, obviously their size is a limiting factor that you think about at this level, but they move the puck really well, and it's very obvious on the ice. So it'll be interesting to see how they do down at university together.
When it comes to guys like that, guys that are not drafted or signed or anything like that, how close an eye will you keep on those guys for the next year for when their free agency will come up?
Yeah, we're watching all the players. We've got our scouts really spread out across the world, I suppose, and all the players here are being followed and monitored, and they have access to us, if they need it as well leaving here. It's not that they leave this camp and we forget about them. I think that try to keep some continuity and some relationships with some of these guys moving forward.
Why were some of the Europeans like Topi and Roney not here?
So Topi and Roni were here the week before development camp. We brought them both in, but they're both back in Finland preparing for the World Juniors. So they headed back.
What did you like about Villeneuve, and what do you hope to see from him when he goes pro?
Yeah, so I think Will took a big step this year in St. John's. We worked a lot with him on his posture, on his really his mental side of the game in terms of not getting down on himself and staying consistent. And I think the next transition for him when he comes up with the Marlies next season will be defending and really being able to solidify that part of his game. We know that he's got offensive upside. He can move the puck. Sometimes the simple play is the best play, and I think when you're at the pro level, you have to understand those moments, when to complicate it, when to keep it simple, and then just his physical development and continuing to put mass on and physical strength is going to be key for him. But he's obviously this week he had a very good week, and he's still relatively fresh coming off of the Memorial Cup win.
I don't know if you had a chance to talk to Ian Scott. You announced yesterday that he's retiring. How difficult is that from a development standpoint? You see a guy who had a lot of promise kind of go through some injury issues that stops his career.
Yeah, I feel a lot for Ian. I had a chance to be around him a lot in the last few years, and it was mostly in the gym, riding the bike, the conversations, and it's never easy to see a player like that young. He's dealt with some pretty significant hip issues to have to retire and to transition. So I feel for him, and not an easy decision, but he's a great kid. He's a smart kid. He's going to land on his feet wherever he ends up next in hockey.
What do you feel about Teverberg's camp, and what's next for him?
Yeah, I think Ryan had his best performance today in the game today. He looked like he had a lot of jump and speed, made some nice plays. He's another guy that's been here all summer, skating with us, training with us, and I've said it before, I think the sky's the limit for Ryan. I think we need to continue to layer on his understanding of pace and space on the ice and when to pick his spots, but he's really improved over the last year, and I think this camp he got better each day as the week went on.
What do you think of the World Juniors in the middle of the summer for some of these guys when you're going to have like 4 players there, I guess, maybe?
I think, yeah, possibly. Well, Edmonton's a lot nicer in August than it is in December. It's strange for all of us. It's never happened before, but I think in talking to some of the players here, they're super excited to go, and maybe a little nervous. They'll be tired coming off this camp heading into the next one, but it sets them up well to go in and have a good performance at the World Juniors. Everybody loves to watch the World Juniors, and I think we're all happy that we can move on with COVID and move into some of these tournaments, and I'm looking forward to watching. Yeah.
What's your biggest takeaway from this camp with this group?
Biggest takeaway? That's a good question. I would say the biggest takeaway for me always is you see the talent, you see the potential, but you also realize that it's still another big step to get to the NHL and to be a professional hockey player. And I think for the players themselves, I often hear the comments like, "Whoa, this was hard on the ice," or "It's very demanding." And just for them to understand that being a professional player, a professional athlete every single day, it's not easy. That's why there's very few that make it, and that's part of the impression we want to leave with them as well.
Thanks, Joey.
Yeah. Okay, thanks guys. All right.